right, Drew, thank you for coming on the channel. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
So you are one of my oldest friends. I think it's kind of cool that if people were to look back, they would find that in the first video ever created for this channel, I was mentioning you in terms of a major inspiration for my interest and even coming over to Japan after all that time. So we have just finished the most amazing New Year's in the world, and a large part of that has been this wonderful space that we've gotten to enjoy the whole time, which is that sort of mix of old and new that you find so beautifully celebrated in Kyoto, I guess you could say. And if you could tell me and the people watching, why is it that you chose this place to live, and when did you move here? What's the story?
Cool, yeah, I'd be happy to. I moved in April of 2016, so I've only been here about 8 months now. But I chose Kyoto in particular because it's got, like you said, it's got this mix of old and new, sort of traditional and modern, and I really wanted to live and work in that environment. So this place specifically, I got really lucky. It was under renovation at the time, and I was able to get in early enough that I could kind of help out with some of the design decisions. So, I mean, even this room that we're in right now, the whole first floor, it was going to be tatami rooms, but I had them do it in hardwood floor instead. That way we could kind of move more quickly through the office space.
Because this is both your home and business. I could have mentioned that.
Oh yeah, I should have mentioned that first. Yes, I live upstairs.
Yes.
I live right there. And I work right here. So short commute, but nice space to do it in. So. Yep, so anyway, I got in early and I was able to kind of guide the space how I wanted it to be. I'm really, really happy with the result. Everybody's been amazing. All the craftsmen that worked on it has been great. And I got to have a garden, which I think is pretty cool.
Yes.
And yeah, no, so it's just a great space to work in, great space to live in. And I'm right downtown Kyoto, so it's easy to walk anywhere. And if I need to get to Tokyo, which I do quite often for work, it's just a quick bus ride or taxi ride to Kyoto Station, and then the Shinkansen gets me there in a couple hours. So very convenient. Very
convenient. And you were telling me about the idea of, it's the whole remote idea, right? There's like cost to consider, there's zoning to consider, maybe a little more detail. Why did you choose this place over working in Tokyo when that's where the majority of your business is? Yeah, right. That's actually a really big point. Tokyo is where the majority of our partners and customers are. I mean, I think that goes without saying for a lot of people doing business in Japan. Tokyo is kind of the heartbeat of all of it. But most of our work is done remotely. I work for a software company where the majority of our work is done as long as we have an internet connection, we can do it. So geographical location isn't as much of an issue. And so I decided that I'd rather work in a place and live in a place that was more fulfilling and ultimately somewhere I wanted to be. A lot of the places in Tokyo I looked at were really convenient, but really uninspired, kind of bland architecture or interior design, and also really, really expensive. Whereas, yeah, this is, even though I got a lot more sort of input on the kind of space that I wanted to live in, it's still much, much cheaper than living in Tokyo. Yeah, the word I was using with you is like you find really clinical business spaces maybe in Tokyo. Exactly, yeah. Where it really does, I think for people, you would find that even if it is a professional environment, you're conducting everything, it can feel like a home as well, which is a totally much more, it's a better place to do business. It's funny actually, when partners or customers come over, they always remark on that. They're like, oh, it's like my grandma's house, or it's like a ryokan or something. Yeah. I'm like, is that good or bad? I don't know, but either way, it seems to be, it's a different space than maybe what they're used to, which is more that kind of clinical, cubicle type place. And you mentioned something that I think is really interesting, getting into the nuance of business, was also the zoning. Is interesting because I asked you, I was like, so are the other houses that are next to you here, are they also businesses? And you had some, elaborate on that maybe a little bit. Yeah, this is a traditional Machiya, Kyoto Machiya, which is kind of like a Kyoto townhouse. It's not a large one, but it's part of a row. But in the traditional zoning for that is mixed. People would live and work in those buildings for all types of Machiya, and as a result, that zoning still remains in Kyoto, so I can have the same house be both residential and commercially zoned, which is amazing. I mean, if I were to start in Tokyo, I would have to find a business, an office for my business that's commercially zoned and an apartment that's residentially zoned. And again, not only the cost, the inconvenience of that, it's all in one package here in Kyoto, so yeah, really, really lucky in that way. Very cool, yeah, and something I would never even think of until you have to come to that point. So, with that in mind, That's a great explanation. Generally, why here? What was the reason? What are, before we go through the physical tour, we'll walk through all of it, maybe a quick breakdown of the different rooms and their functions that we're going to see.
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Essentially, it's 2 stories. It is, as I said, it's a row house, so it is quite small. But the first floor is the office. And if we look at the floor plan, we can see it's all hardwood. As I said, kind of roll around on chairs or walk easily through the space. And that's comprised of 3 main rooms, which is the mise-no-ma, the daidoko, and the oku. And then continuing towards the back of the house, we have the garden and the washroom at the back. And it's kind of interesting because it is a restoration of an older building. We see that the toilet is still outside. It's not inside the house, so you have to go through this external corridor to get there.
There's definitely, there's kind of at one with nature. You can't escape that feeling here.
Definitely.
Which is really, really cool. Again, it's this sort of comfort. I don't know, for people who maybe have had experiences like that, whether it's camping or something, but you do, as soon as you come into the space, feel that kind of connection. For me, it's weird. It was like strangely nostalgic, although this is like the farthest thing away from camping in the woods. It had some connection for some of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for better or for worse, you're kind of outside.
Yes.
Your only wall would be like a thin pane of glass or something. So yeah, it does get really cold in the winter and really warm in the summer. But as you say, you're connected with nature, and I take a lot of fulfillment from that. I really enjoy that. And you know, when it's spring or autumn or something like that, you have really nice breezes, and it's just very comfortable to live here. Luckily, because we have that garden and the front alleyway as well. So that's the downstairs, and we would this is predominantly used as an office. Spend most of my time here, but then as I said, I live upstairs, and that's a private area separated by just having the staircase there.
Very steep.
It's more like a ladder. Yeah, pretty dangerous. Don't have too many before walking up or down these stairs. And the upstairs is actually just 2 rooms. It's an omote and zashiki. And the zashiki is still in tatami. I actually decided that I would rather have it still be in tatami than the hardwood.
I've loved that. It's really nice. You get some strange sense with the tatami, and then the traditional doors out the back, which of course we'll show. You feel like transported, whether like historically when you're sitting there. The smell of everything, the visual style in front of you. It's really nice. So is that it? Have any more rooms that you would discuss?
No rooms. I think I would just say a little bit about the restoration.
Definitely.
This was built in the early Showa period.
Okay.
So we're getting on between 60 and 85 years ago. So it is an old structure. But the restoration was amazing. The Craftsman did everything with traditional materials, basically. So all the walls here, they're earthenware, or not earthenware, they're earthen walls.
Yeah, I noticed that definitely in the rooms. I was, doing that funny thing where you like rub your hand on the wall, like, oh, what is this?
Yeah. So
that
this
stands out.
Chikabe, which just means dirt wall, basically, or earth wall.
Straight up.
But it's kind of hard to see, but the color of it and sort of the fineness of it, that's really unique. Apparently only that guy can do this.
Really?
So it's this whole thing where they've got these traditional craftsmen to come in and give it everything they got. And there's a whole level of quality that you don't find in just a typical restoration.
Okay.
Another thing to mention about the tatamis is that they did restore them, but they used the original non-composite core. It's actually from the rice stalks. It's the traditional method of making tatami.
Cool.
So that's why you get those sort of like those smells of the...
Because it's distinct. It's really interesting, and I've always lived in modern homes, so I don't get that. That's something I think if people come to Japan is an experience unto itself. If you can have the legit tatami room, it's very cool.
Definitely, it's very comfortable to sleep there.
All right, so with the explanation done, shall we start from, I suppose, the Genkan, and we'll actually do the physical tour for the people?
Sure, let's do it. Let's do the office tour first, and then we'll do the room tour.
Okay, great.
You can see that all 5 of the row houses have been renovated recently, so people are still moving in. Mine was finished first, which is kind of cool. Let's see here. Excellent mode of transportation for Kyoto. Come on in. Just flip around real quick and take a look at the Genkan. The same guy, the same master gardener who did my garden, also made this Genkan area. which is a standard entryway, but we took stones that were found on site, and then we mixed it with some other ones like these pavers here, and the agari ishi here, which is repurposed from an older garden. Another cool point I'd like to mention is the onigawara. This guy over here. This is actually the original end post tile that goes at the edge of the ridge pole that goes all the way down all 5 row houses. So that was the one that they took off from the early Showa period, and I managed to snag it and get it in my genkan. I was pretty stoked about that. So grab your official Japan Kyoto slippers and let's head out. So this is the front area here. This is called the Misenoma. Usually this would be a storefront or somewhere where people might come in to buy things or negotiate. We use it here for when customers or partners come. We'll meet here. You can see there's a small table here. We meet around that and maybe have some tea. Because it is the New Year's season, we've got a cool display here that my gardener Sano-san made for me. And you can see it's the year of the chicken, or the year of the bird, so we got a little rooster right there. And I'm sure each of these plants has some great significance, but I don't know what they are, so I'm not going to bother explaining. Another cool thing is this is actually a shoebox, so if you just take a look here, and pop that open, slap your shoes or slippers right inside, and then, magic.
Magic.
They're gone. So yeah, this is sort of the front entryway. Also, you could do some work here if you want to do like some kneeling work, and if you're tired of sitting at a desk. Then in the main office area here, it's all designed to be used as one continuous space. And so we can comfortably fit 4 or 5 people in here without feeling cramped at all, which is good considering it is a very, you can see, it's very small and very narrow, but we've tried to use the space in a way that we can get as many humans inside as possible. Come with me here to the back. So in addition to my garden master friend and the stone sculptor who've really come through for me, Hattori-san is another, he's a metal worker, craftsman in Osaka who really helped me out. He answered a really important need that I had, which is, Dave, as you will know as a tall man in Japan, you're about to hit your head on the door frame right now as we speak. It's really hard to work in Japanese spaces sometimes. When I'm at my desk, if I'm sitting for too long, I get really hunched over, and it's really, really bad for my health and my spirit. So I asked Hattori-san to make a standing desk, which he did in short order. It was a bit of a challenge to match the space and the requirements for the dimensions, and also how would we put it together? Would it be free floating? Would it be hanging from the posts above, from the rafters? Or would we fix it to the beams in the wall, to the posts in the wall, which is what we ended up doing. But as you can see, it's really cool, it's really rigid, like solid cast iron here that's been welded together. So it's very, very stable. And then just like a nice natural wooden top on it here. And remarkably affordable, completely custom designed for the space, and hand built by a craftsman. Couldn't ask for more. I've been really, really blessed, and it's totally changed my work ethic and my life. Being here with just being able to have a better posture and work standing up. So definitely recommend getting one. On this side. And the reason I designed the office in this way is because the main features that we all want to use are the front entryway, and then back into the toilet in the back area here. And the main feature of the office is the garden, which I'll show you now. So this is the garden here. It's called a tsuboniwa, which can refer to the size. It's 1 tsubo roughly, which is like 2 tatami mats. So not much room to work with, but Sano-san, my master gardener friend, he put this together for me, which I'm eternally grateful for. It's mainly a rock garden, so you don't have too much green, nothing that flowers or would fruit, which is definitely a certain style of garden that is quite common. That's also really good for maintenance and things like that. You don't have to do too much pruning or like weeding or anything. But yeah, the main feature of the garden is this tree here. This is called an inu biwa. Biwa tree is quite well known. It has fruit. It's commonly eaten, I think, in June or something like that. But an inu biwa is, I guess it's a similar related species, but it's different. It doesn't fruit in the same way. But it has these nice kind of slender trunks here. And it grows really, really fast. And the other main feature here is the water fountain. It's the water, or the stone basin, I should say. The stone hand basin, I should really say. This thing was made by Tamaki-san, who's a sculptor from Gifu Prefecture. And the stone is all from Gifu as well. It's called Kujo-ishi, which refers to the river, the head of the river where it comes from, which is Kujo-gawa. And it's designed in a way that it's natural here. He didn't really do anything to the top except for carve this, the basin area. And then the bottom here, the bottom two posts, they fit together, but they're a little bit machined, but sort of in a rough way. It's designed to have a lot of nice texture here, which you can see. And then it sits on top of this foundation stone. It's designed to be used, it's not designed to be looked at, although I think it does look really cool. And we use that here with this pipe. So we can just turn on the faucet a little bit and slide it over like this. And as you can see, it drains out the bottom in a really cool way. I really, really enjoy that.
And like you pointed out to me before, the whole difference of the garden between like when it's wet and when it's dry, like all the reflections and stuff, it's very cool.
Yeah, we think that only plants need water, but there's a Japanese gardening expression that says that rocks really need water, that's when they come alive. And all it takes is for you to look at it to really get that, I think. The difference between when it's dry and when it's wet. But yeah, so as I said, this isn't meant to be art, it's meant to be used. So the idea is that you come out of the toilet and you'd be able to wash your hands like this. And there would be a cloth here for you to wipe your hands off. Yeah, and another way you can use it, which I really like, is you use it as a waterfall. So you plug this basin area, and then you fill it up like this and it'll drip off. And when the water starts falling, it has this nice dripping sound. It's designed to add a bit of tranquility to the space, a little bit of harmony.
And you mentioned, Drew, maybe you can show exactly where that was machined, the way it falls off the side of it?
That's right. So this is the only part aside from the basin that was actually hand sculpted. And it's hard to see from there, but you can tell that right under here, there's kind of a chunk that's been taken out. This was hand carved to make sure that the spot where it naturally drips from, which is here, is accented in a way that it falls down into the right area. So even how the water falls is planned. Unfortunately, I kind of messed it up by getting another part of that lip wet, and so it's kind of affected the stream a little. But even to that level of precision where not only where does it fall from, is how it's going to fall, depending on how thick the stream is. It's all been thought out in advance and then carved into stone by hand. It's pretty impressive stuff. The level of depth of planning and design that some of these traditional craftsmen do is really, really inspiring. Let your head right in there. This is the original position of where the toilet would be. Obviously it wouldn't be as modern as this with the nice heated seats and everything like that. But the space is exactly the same. And they rebuilt it with traditional methods. You can see they even got the tsuchikabe at the back and on the sides.
And again, what was that, Drew? The tsuchikabe?
Tsuchikabe is the earth wall.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. And also the choice of materials they used in terms of the wood framing and stuff like that. This is designed to be fragrant. Unfortunately, you guys who are watching can't experience this, but it's designed to be fragrant in a really pleasing way with the wood smell. And that's designed to kind of counteract any nasty smells that might emerge from the toilet.
The funk.
The funk, as it were. So come on back out. Separate view of the garden. And if you look up from here, you can see that we're in pretty close quarters with the neighbors and the apartment buildings behind. But we get along well.
And it feels private. It's like you're in that close proximity, but you know, it's still your personal space.
Exactly. Yeah. And so this is the main downstairs area. As I mentioned before, I wanted to highlight the main features of the place, which were the common spaces that we'd all use, as well as the garden. And so if you come in from the front entrance, you immediately can see the garden. You have a clear, unobstructed line of sight and movement. So you can go outside, you can come inside, you can work here at the standing desk, and even if you're here working, somebody else who comes in will still get full access to that garden view. And I really wanted to highlight that and make it easy for people to move around so you weren't running through desks or other people if you needed to go to the washroom or something like that. Very cool. Come up to my room now. So one of the cool things, as I mentioned before, is it is zoned for commercial and residential. So my office is here, and the office actually officially stops right here on this line. So it's not quite as clean on the stairs, but yeah, this is now private area. So this belongs to me, and this belongs to the company.
I see. I get. Yeah, like that's not figuratively speaking. On paper, that's been made clear.
On paper, this is the line. Yeah. So come into my house if you would. Be really careful on the stairs. As I said, it's kind of like a ladder. Welcome to my world. It's very small, there's not much in it. This is pretty much as it was. They haven't really changed too much about this space. The one difference is that they did take out an extra cupboard here, which I was originally going to use as a desk, but I thought, hey, I got a drum set, this is a good spot for it. And so this is where I practice my drums. And here is my bedroom. Come on in. This is left in its original tatami form. And they reused all the original sliding doors here, the fusuma, and some of the light fixtures and stuff. And all of these sliding doors they've reused and repaired wherever possible. So I've got my own little balcony here. It's not very wide. I can't have a barbecue.
Very nice.
It's nice to throw down a zabuton and look at the garden from above. And there it is. I mean, I kind of like it right now how it is, but unfortunately all the leaves have just recently fallen off. So it's kind of barren right now. But typically this is very bright green, provides a really big screen for privacy, which is really great, especially when you're living in close quarters with a big condo right there. I also got really lucky in that they built the public garden for the condo right behind my house. So you can see there's like this nice Japanese maple that usually is this bright red, and so I have like a double garden and double privacy. So I don't feel crowded here at all, even though it is in quite close quarters. People always remark that it's really Spartan. I don't have anything in here. Usually what I do is I roll out a futon at night, and I would sleep in this room, in this area here, which I think Dave can attest to is pretty comfortable when you're sleeping on the natural tatami. You kind of get this deeper level of sleep that you don't normally get in a bed or on flooring.
Super comfortable.
Yeah. So there is usually more life in here than what you see. But that's one of the things I really like about Japanese houses is that you pack up things that you're not using right now. So now we could have a meeting in here. I've done meetings with partners in that room, but at night I could go and roll out my futon and that's my bedroom. So it's kind of multi-purpose a little bit. If you look out here, we've just got the screens and then back out onto the alley and the street.
Very nice. I love these screens.
They're really effective because they let wind come through, and right now when it's really cold, it's what you don't want. You don't want any wind coming through your house because it's freezing, it's very bitter. But in the summertime, this saves your life. To be able to get some privacy and block out the sun without interrupting the wind flow, that's really key. And so you can see we've got wind coming in through the front, we've got wind coming in or out through the back, and then it'll also swirl down to the downstairs again. So everything about this construction is designed for maximum airflow.
Sure, sure. Very hot summers here.
Exactly. Not so many fish. So that's it. I mean, that's the tour. It is a really small place, but I really like it here. I'm glad you guys could join us. And yeah, if you're ever in Kyoto, maybe drop by.
All right, so thanks so much for coming along on the tour, guys, and thank you, Drew, for hosting.
My pleasure, man. Anytime.
it was really, really awesome, and I can't stress enough the sort of unique sort of view you're getting here to go into a place that isn't not only old Kyoto, but to have recently been restored, to have the aspect of the rock garden in it as well. All these different unique little things that add up to a really, really cool experience. So thank you again for checking it out. It was a real pleasure to come into like a really cool space like this, especially over the course of New Year's. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe. I'll have flashed down all my social media down below, so please follow me on those if you want to get a hold of me, ask me a question, this, that, or the other thing. And until next time, take care, Happy New Year, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.